The subway car rattled along its tracks, a metallic beast weaving through the underbelly of Metro Haven. It was a late Thursday evening, the kind where the air hung heavy with the exhaustion of the workweek. Commuters filled the car, a mosaic of faces, some buried in phones, others staring blankly at the flickering ads above. The fluorescent lights buzzed faintly, casting a sterile glow over the scene. Among them sat an elderly man, his hands folded neatly over a worn leather satchel, his eyes sharp despite the deep lines etched into his face. His name was Harold, a retired schoolteacher who'd spent decades shaping young minds in Brooklyn. Tonight, he was just trying to get home. Across the car, a young woman clutched her purse, her knuckles white. She was unaware of the shadow creeping closer, a wiry thug with a shaved head and a jittery energy, his hoodie stained and his eyes darting. He'd been casing the car for the last 2 stops, waiting for the right moment. When the train lurched around a curve, he made his move, snatching the woman's purse with a quick, practiced yank. She gasped, stumbling forward, her cry swallowed by the screech of the train. Harold's head snapped up. Without hesitation, he rose, his voice steady but firm. "Hey, give it back. Now." His words cut through the hum of the car, drawing eyes. The thug froze, then turned, his lips curling into a sneer. "Mind your business, old man," he spat, shoving Harold back. The old man stumbled but caught himself, his satchel hitting the floor with a thud. A few passengers glanced up, their phones raised to record, but no one moved. The air grew thick with tension, the kind that makes your pulse quicken. The thug stepped closer, his hand slipping into his pocket, hinting at something dangerous. "You want to be a hero? Heroes get hurt." Harold stood his ground, his eyes unwavering despite the tremor in his hands. The woman, still clutching her empty purse strap, whispered, "Please, just stop." But the thug's grin widened, feeding off the fear. Then, a shadow moved at the far end of the car. A man stood, his movements deliberate, almost silent. He was broad-shouldered, his frame compact but radiating a quiet menace. His shaved head gleamed under the lights, and his eyes, sharp, unyielding, locked onto the thug. It was Jason Statham, though no one in the car knew his name. To them, he was just a stranger in a black leather jacket, his presence like a storm cloud rolling in. He hadn't said a word, but the thug felt it, a shift, like the air before a lightning strike. The thug's bravado faltered. He glanced at Jason, then back at Harold, his hand still in his pocket. "What, you with him?" he barked, trying to regain control. Jason didn't answer. He took a single step forward, his boots heavy against the floor. The car seemed to shrink around him, every eye now on this silent figure. The thug's sneer faded, replaced by a flicker of doubt. He wasn't used to this, someone who didn't flinch, didn't speak, just was. Harold, sensing the shift, spoke again, his voice softer now, almost pleading. "Son, you don't need to do this. Just give her the purse. Walk away." The thug's eyes darted between Harold and Jason, his bravado crumbling under the weight of those twin gazes, one kind, one lethal. The passengers held their breath, their phones still recording, but now with a sense of anticipation. The thug made a mistake. He lunged at Harold, his fist raised. In a blur, Jason was there, his hand catching the thug's wrist mid-swing. The crack of bone against bone echoed in the car. The thug yelped, his momentum halted as Jason twisted his arm, forcing him to his knees. It wasn't flashy, no Hollywood spin kicks or one-liners. Just efficient, brutal precision. The purse hit the floor, and the woman scrambled to grab it, tears streaming down her face. Jason leaned in, his voice low, gravelly, barely audible over the train's rumble. "You're done." 2 words, but they carried the weight of a judge's gavel. The thug whimpered, his bravado gone, his free hand clutching at the air. Jason released him, and the thug collapsed, scrambling back against a pole, his eyes wide with fear. The car was silent, save for the clatter of the tracks. Then Harold stepped forward, his hands shaking but his voice steady. "Thank you," he said, looking at Jason. The stranger nodded, just once, before returning to his seat as if nothing had happened. The passengers erupted in murmurs, some clapping, others still filming, their phones capturing the moment, and nobody became a hero. The woman, clutching her purse, approached Harold, her voice trembling. "Why'd you do that? You could have been hurt." Harold smiled, his eyes crinkling. "Because it's right. Someone had to." She hugged him, her tears soaking his coat, and the passengers, shamed by their earlier inaction, began to stir. A young man in a hoodie offered Harold his seat. A woman in a business suit slipped a 20 into the hand of a homeless man who'd been watching silently from the corner. The car, once a cold collection of strangers, began to feel human again. As the train pulled into the next station, the thug bolted, disappearing into the crowd. No one stopped him, he wasn't worth it. Jason stood, ready to exit, but Harold caught his arm. "Wait. What's your name?" Jason paused, his expression unreadable. "Doesn't matter," he said, his British accent clipped. Then he was gone, swallowed by the platform's bustle. The story spread. By morning, the videos were viral, #SubwayHero trending across social media. People debated who the stranger was, some calling him a vigilante, others a guardian angel. Harold became a local legend, interviewed on morning shows, his quiet courage a beacon. The woman, whose name was Maria, started a fundraiser for Harold's old school, raising thousands in days. The passengers, once passive, began to reflect. Small acts of kindness rippled outward, people holding doors, offering seats, speaking up. In a quiet pub across town, Jason sat alone, nursing a pint. The TV above the bar played a clip of Harold's interview, the old man's voice steady as ever. Jason's lips twitched, the ghost of a smile. He'd done what he always did, stepped in, set things right, then vanished. No fame, no glory. Just the job. The subway car kept rolling, night after night, carrying its cargo of strangers. But something lingered in that car, in the city, in the hearts of those who'd witnessed it. A reminder that courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes it's a quiet man standing up, an old man refusing to look away, or a stranger who shifts the world with a single step.